So the next review is supposed to be Oni-chan Bara, but for some reason, after an afternoon of playing Sanctum 2 with my friend for the first time in years, all of a sudden, whenever I open Steam, I end up playing more Sanctum 2 than anything else. So I thought I'd use that game to get some more practice in these sort of gaming spotlight videos, so that's what we're going to be doing today. Let's get started. What's up guys, it's me Zero to my Kitsune, once again digging through my Steam library, and today I bring you a game that for some reason I can't stop playing. This is Sanctum 2, a tower defense title that integrates FPS mechanics into its gameplay, so instead of simply depending on various towers for victory, the game encourages you to take a proactive approach in order to kill the stream of monsters gunning to the core you are tasked with defending. Tower defense games are oddly addicting to me, but at the same time I normally get burned out fairly quickly once I figure out the optimal setup for these types of games. It just loses the creative flair at that point for me. Now I've been playing Sanctum 2 for a couple of days now, and it has held my attention surprisingly with some of its mechanics, but it is rough in some places, and I can really attest to that because I did play this game a few years back, but I dropped it rather quickly because I was exposed to more of the bad sides of the game than the good. So I'm going to break down some of the things I saw, not going to go super deep on this since it's not a full review, but maybe if there is some interest I could do a review of this game in the future. Okay, first of all, performance. This game is weird. The frame rate is decent enough to be enjoyable, but for some reason going into a menu causes the game to drop frames, then slowly climb back up once you exit the menu. Kinda annoying, but not terrible. The game runs on a 32-bit engine, so it can't take full advantage of high-end hardware if you have it. Obviously I can't test that, but I'm just throwing it out there. And while the game does go out of its way to have hidden paths and areas, sometimes you'll run into a spot that just lacks collision and end up tossing yourself off the map. Kinda feels like a rookie dev mistake, but it is really hilarious in co-op. With that out the way, I can now go on to the game. The game's story, which I didn't really pay attention to, is conveyed through comic pages that you see when launching a stage. Not a huge fan of the art style, but that's a personal taste. Objectively, it looks fine. The characters you play as are important because they each come with a locked default weapon and a unique passive that synergizes with it. My go-to character was the rocket launching wielding Sweet Autumn. Yeah, weird name, but her passive ability is incendiary rounds that deals a percentage of your weapon damage as bonus burn damage. That's another little gripe I have about the game. There are a lot of, stats and stuff, typical of an RPG style game, or, most games nowadays that take RPG aspects, but the numbers aren't there. The weapons, the damage they deal are done in bars, and passives just kinda do a general, deal bonus damage. You have to go to wikis and stuff to get the exact numbers. But ignoring that small gripe, the character is pretty damn powerful. If you couple her with a kill zone composed of slowing towers, she can really put on the damage. Now weapons can't do the entire job though, as the game was designed so that neither weapons or towers can normally kill all the enemies effectively by themselves. And for weapons in particular, this takes the form of stupid long reload times. Despite the fact that you can wield two weapons, and you can actually reload one weapon while you're holding out another one, don't know what kind of logic that makes, there's still a little bit of downtime between when you're using your weapons and when you can't. Towers on the other hand are pretty interesting, as unlike some tower defense games you can't actually place them anywhere. Instead you have to put down a base first, then the tower on top of it. The bases actually dictate how the enemy's path, because the default maps are empty and the enemy has a straight shot to your core. It is actually up to you to use a sequence of tower bases to make a maze that the enemies must traverse before reaching their destination, with towers sprinkled along the path, and you raining down bullets the whole time. I really like the combination, but what hampers the experience is that the default leveling and progression system is This is one of the things that made me quit the game years ago after a bit of playing. Completing a map was way too easy, it never gave that much experience, and the tools available to you by default lose their flair moderately fast. What I had overlooked is that the game intends for the player to add in optional challenge modifiers to balance the difficulty of a map and give EXP proportional to that challenge. probably would have been better to have some of the modifiers on by default and just inform a new player that they can take them off if the challenge is too much for them. Then there's the perk / weapon / tower progression. There should be more, and I say that as someone who somehow, I don't know how, has the season pass for this game, which means I have a lot more content than what you would get if you just bought the game base. But while towers and perks, there's a decent amount of them and they get unlocked every level, weapons do not. Weapons are actually kinda sparse in this game. And the weapons you do get, they feel radically different. So if you like, shotguns, there's only one real shotgun. So if you don't like how the shotgun in this game plays, you're just kinda SOL. Aside from that, the towers, they're pretty much fine. Obviously I want more of them, but how they play is perfect for what you get. The perks, on the other hand, I feel like they could have used some more flair or pizzazz to them. Only some of the perks actually have radically cool abilities, others are just plain stat increases. Something that I saw as pretty cool is that while the battles take place in a specific area, the maps themselves tend to be a fair bit larger than a player will notice, with hidden areas to find and free landmines in them to reward the player if they do, find those spots. Now, everything I said here is all good and fun, but one thing that can make or break this game is the multiplayer. And this game does give you the feeling that it was intended to be balanced towards a multiplayer experience, especially the boss rounds. This is a bit confusing as the game feels like it just lacks certain conveniences that should be there when it comes to a multiplayer game. The biggest of which is the fact that if a random player is allowed into your game, they can freely mess with other people's towers, leading to a situation where someone shows up, sees whatever setup you're working on, and basically goes, you know what, I can do better than that, before taking a sledgehammer to your entire map. This is really frustrating and makes for a bad time with randoms, so if you plan on playing multiplayer, take a friend and don't leave your lobbies open. I'm never really good at ending videos, but that's really all I have to say on this game. Hopefully I may have piqued your interest because I'm having a lot of fun with this. Drop a comment if you want to see this get a full review in the future, or if you know another game you might want me to check out, leave a comment about that. Do all the YouTube stuff if you like this video, subscribe, bell, all that fancy stuff. It helps out with the channel growth, and I will see you guys next time. Peace!